Hello there, hope you're doing great. Welcome back to another session on cybersecurity. So in this session, we're going to take a look at DNS enumerations, and we'll see the various tools that will help us for DNS enumerations, namely host, dig, Dnsenum, Dnsmap, Dnsrecon. So we'll see the various commands associated with these tools and how they help us with respect to DNS enumerations. Before moving on to DNS enumerations, we should have an in-depth understanding of what is DNS and how it works, how a DNS query gets resolved, what are the various types of DNS records, what is the name server, what is zone transfer. So all these things we should have an idea about. If you are new to DNS, I would recommend you visiting my previous lecture on DNS. So I posted a lecture video wherein I've explained all these concepts in depth. First, visit that lecture and come to this lecture to have an understanding of DNS enumerations. But before even starting off with these tools, let's have a quick recap of what we have seen in the last session. So in the last session, we looked at an example. Say codespindle.com is the domain which I am owning. If I am trying to access codespindle.com, how is it I am going to get the IP corresponding to codespindle.com? So DNS is all about getting the IP for a specific domain. For this, we first query the DNS query resolver, which will in turn contact the top level root server, and this top level root server will give the IP of the top level domain server that maintains information about .com domains. So this DNS query resolver will then contact this top level domain server, which in turn will give the IP of the name servers that contain the DNS records of codespindle.com. So using that IP, the DNS query resolver will now contact the name servers. Name servers are of two types, primary and secondary. So what is there inside a name server is we have a zone file which contains various types of DNS records. So what are these records? See, the A type record will map the IPv4 address. So this is the IP address for codespindle.com. If it's an IPv4 address, it will be present in the A type record. Quad A record is for mapping the IPv6 address for a domain. MX records actually hold the information about the mail exchange servers for the domain. Service records contain data about the various servers and services available for the domain. Text records normally contain the ownership information. It contains some textual strings. So normally they put up the ownership information for like Google verification information inside the text records. Sort of authority contains the contact information for a specific zone, and it involves administrator contact, and the CNAME records hold the alias for a domain. So these are the various DNS records that will be present in the name servers inside a zone file, and there are primary and secondary. Primary is where we can read and update the zone files, whereas secondary DNS records, secondary DNS servers or servers, that is just like a backup for the primary, and you can read data from the secondary, whereas you cannot update data in the secondary. And to be in sync, there will be a zone file transfer from the primary to the secondary so that both the servers are in sync with the same data. So this is what we have seen, and this is a very high level view of what we have seen in the last class. Just a recap. So if you are new to DNS, please have a look at it. I'll be leaving the link for that session in the description below. Now let's go ahead with the tools. Let's start working with the tools. So before going ahead with the tools, I'm going to use my own domain here. Codespindle.com is a domain which I have created, which holds video lectures and code samples and various content. So I'm going to use my own domain for enumeration. I'm not going to use any other domains. So this is the catch here. So please don't perform DNS enumerations on domains for which you don't have permission. So please use whatever that is discussed in this session only for educational purposes. Now let us go to the platform. So what is that I'm having here is Kali Linux, and Kali Linux is now running on my VirtualBox 7, and this virtual machine is actually connected to the NAT network. Since we are going to enumerate a domain, codespindle.com, which is hosted on a server, we are having NAT network here. And we'll start off with the first tool, host. Host is a DNS lookup utility which we can use to find the IP for a specific domain. So let's start with host, and then let me give my domain name, that is codespindle.com. So this is going to fetch us the IP address corresponding to my domain. So codespindle.com as the IP 162.214.80.115. Likewise, you can also query for specific DNS records. What are the various DNS records we have seen? AAA and SOA, SRV, and we have MX, text, and we have other types of records like CNAME and other types of records. Let's query for a specific type of record. So how you can use host for querying a specific type of record is -t, and then you can mention the specific type of record, say a codespindle.com. So this will bring me the IPv4 address that is hosted, that is contained in this A type record. So there is a connection to the server issue. So codespindle.com as address 162.214.80.115. So here we get the answer. So this is the IP address that is present in this A type record. So like that you can query for other types of records. For instance, I want to know the mail exchange server corresponding to codespindle.com. So I can perform this. So what is the mail exchange server data corresponding to MX record? This is a DNS record. The data here is mail.codespindle.com. Like that you can query for any types of records. Say if I want to find the name servers, say we talked about authoritative name servers. If you want to find the name servers, I'll give host-tns and then codespindle.com. So now it gives us data about the name servers. This is name server 1 and that is name server 2. What are the name servers we have seen here? This is name server 1 and that is name server 2. So two name servers we have. So these are the two name servers corresponding to codespindle.com domain. Like that you can query for SOA records. Let's check text records, host-t text codespindle.com. So we can get information about the various DNS records. So this is the information that is present in the DNS record corresponding to text, and we also have SOA records. So we'll try and enumerate SOA records, SOA codespindle.com, and here is this SOA information, start of authority information about codespindle.com. So that's about an introduction to the host. So we can very well check what is the use of host. Host is an DNS lookup utility, and it's a simple utility for performing DNS lookups. What do you mean by DNS lookup is get the IP addresses for a specific domain name. So I hope you are able to follow this. Let me go to the next tool. Let me clear the screen. Let's move on to the next tool. The next tool is called dig, and it's also used for DNS enumeration. So what do you mean by DNS enumeration? It's nothing but getting information about the various DNS records, about your zone files from your DNS name servers. That is it. And hacker can get information about the various DNS records. You can have a map of your entire architecture and your organization. So that is the use of DNS enumerations, and we'll see the use of next tool called dig. So dig, it's also an tool used for DNS enumerations, and let's start with the first command, dig codespindle. So dig space the domain name. So this is going to give us enumerate the DNS servers and give us some information about the DNS records. Let's check. So there is some internet issues. Yeah, now we got the answer. So here we have some answers given here. So initially we had some connection timeout issues, but then we have an answer section here which has brought out the type A record for codespindle. So this is type A record, and this is the IP address corresponding to codespindle.com. See, we can also query for specific type records using dig. I'll tell you how to do that. So it's dig codespindle.com, and then you can give the specific type. Say I want to just get the A type record. So now we'll see whether we are getting the A type record. There's a connection timeout. Let's wait for the answers now. There is some network issue, but yes. So here in the answers section, we are able to get information about this A type record. So you can query for a specific type. Say for instance, I want to find the text record corresponding to codespindle.com DNS text record. So here is this. So the textual information corresponding to this domain in the DNS record, text record is fetched. So we have the answer section here, which is giving us the answers. So you can very well query for any specific type of DNS record using dig tool, and we can also perform reverse DNS lookup. For instance, dig. What is reverse DNS lookup? You can give an IP, and then for that you will get the corresponding domain. So here the DNS Google. So for this IP, it is pointing to that domain Google. So that is with respect to reverse DNS lookup. And we can also make the responses very short. Instead of having a long response like this, we can make it short. For instance, I can go with digcodespindle.com and then I can give plus short so that I get the short answers out. So let's see what is the output here. So here again, I'm sorry for this network issue. Let's wait. Yeah. So here, say codespindle.com, I just want the IP address return. So it's just the IP. The answer is very short. It's not like it's just omitting a lot of things here, and it's just fetching the answer for us. Okay, so you can go with short, and if you want to display only the answer section, say I just want only the answer section to be displayed. For this, I can go with digcodespindle.com, and we are not going to have anything displayed except the answer section. So answer. So here is that output wherein we just have the answer section displayed to us. So you can very well have the answer section alone displayed using this specific command. So let's query for the name servers now using dig tool. So digcodespindle.com ns. So here we have the answers. So we are able to query and find out the two name servers, ns1.bluehost.in, ns2.bluehost.in. These are the two name servers with respect to my domain codespindle.com. We have seen two tools right now, that is host and dig. Now let us take a look at one more tool, DNS Enum. So this is used for subdomain enumeration. What is subdomain enumeration? Domain like Codespindle has got various subdomains like mail.codespindle.com, ftp.codespindle.com, and blog.codespindle.com, or you can create sales.codespindle.com. So this tool can be used for enumerating all the subdomains and also for DNS enumerations. So let's use this tool. So DNS Enum, and then the domain name is codespindle.com. So now it starts enumerating. It gives us information. So it gives us very clearly structured information. For instance, the first thing is a type record holding the IP address of codespindle.com, and next is the data about name servers. So we have two name servers and these specific IP addresses for Codespindle, and next info is about mail exchange servers, so that correspond to mail.codespindle.com, and then it also performs zone transfers. So zone transfer is nothing but transferring a zone file from the name server to our own system. So here zone transfers failed for codespindle.com. So it's going to perform brute force and enumerate the various subdomains. So here it's going to use a default file under this specific tool. User share Dnsenum contains this DNS text file, which it's going to use for DNS enumerations, that is subdomain enumeration. So it's going to take some time. So let me stop this scan here, um, and let's see what is there in this file. So here we have this information inside DNS text, which will be used for DNS enumeration. So it's going to try all these combinations. It's a brute force method. So what it's going to do is it's going to take everything, every word here, and check whether there is a domain corresponding to this word. For instance, you'll have mail here. So it's going to take mail from this file and check whether we have mail.codespindle.com. Like that, it's going to use these keywords for enumerating subdomains for a domain. So that is with respect to DNS enumerations, and you can use Dnsenum for performing this enumeration. Now let us go to this next tool, that is Dnsmap. So Dnsmap, it's again a tool that is used for DNS enumerations, and we can perform a lot of enumeration using Dnsmap. So let's start with Dnsmap. So what is the use of Dnsmap? It is used for subdomain enumeration, DNS enumerations. And how will you use Dnsmap is, it is Dnsmap space the domain name codespindle.com. So let's check what's happening here. So it's going to enumerate and find all the subdomains for us. So now when it is enumerating the subdomains, it's using a default built-in word list. I have shown you DNS text, dns.text, which is a default word list used by Dnsenum. Now Dnsmap uses a default built-in word list for enumerating the various subdomains of codespindle.com. So you can very well use that default built-in word list. It's going to take some time. You can try this up. So there's one more thing. You can also create your own word list. Say I have created this word list subdomain.text. So this is my own word list. So here I have put up some domains which it can use for subdomain enumeration. So it will be using all these keywords to check whether there are any subdomains for codespindle.com. So let's use this specific word list that I have built. For this, we can give that to be, the command is dnsmap codespindle.com, and then we have to specify the word list that you are using, subdomain.text. So that is the word list, and now it will enumerate using this word list. I am supplying it and not the default word list. So it's going to be quick because we have less number of keywords inside that word list. So let's wait for the output now. So now it says searching for subdomains using the word list that we have supplied. So it first gives the IP address for a domain. That's fine. So here is the output. So we are getting some output here. It's taking some time, but see, it's able to find ftp.codespindle.com to be the subdomain of codespindle.com, and this FTP, this keyword FTP, it was able to use from subdomain.text. Likewise, mail.codespindle.com. So it was able to find some subdomains using the subdomain word list that we have provided. So I have created this, and it was quite fast. So if you're going to go with the default word list, it's going to take some time because it's going to have a huge list. So there's one more thing here. We can also write the results of our subdomain enumerations to a result file. For this, the command we're going to use is -r and then results.text. So it's going to write the subdomain enumeration to this results.txt file. So I already run this. So I think the results.txt file should be available. Sudo cat results.txt. Let's check this up. So here is the contents in our results.txt file. So you can write the output to the results file. So we can also write the results to an CSV file. For that, the command is dnsmap codespindle.com. The word list is subdomain. If you want to write it to a CSV file, we just give -c results1.csv. This is the file to which I have written. So I've already run this. So we have the file ready. So let's take a look at this. Sudo cat results1.txt, results1.csv. So this is the CSV file. It's a comma separated file. So what is it we understand is we can run Dnsmap and we can get the results of the subdomain enumeration written to a results.txt file, or it can be written to a results1.csv file. The next tool that we are going to run is Dnsrecon, and we can take a look at the version of Dnsrecon by giving hyphen capital V. So that fetches the version of this specific tool. So that is the version 1.2.0, and we can also go with the help by typing Dnsrecon-h. So this brings us the help menu for us. So you can take a look at the various commands associated with this tool, and let's run some tools, or let's run some commands now. For this, the very first command that we are going to run is we are just going to give Dnsrecon and then the domain name. So it's going to enumerate everything about this domain. So let's wait for the results. I'm sorry, I missed one specific keyword here, that is Dnsrecon, the domain -d codespindle.com. So we have to give -d for specifying the domain. So it's going to perform enumeration against codespindle.com, and it says DNS security extensions is not configured for codespindle.com, and it will also fetches all the DNS records like type A, MX, SOA, SRV, all these kinds of records is going to fetch us. So it has fetched us this DNS text record and the information in this, and no SRV records found for codespindle.com. So you can also query for very specific records. For instance, I want to only query for say A or quad A or standard records. I can very well perform that. I can give Dnsrecon-d codespindle.com -t and std. So this is going to fetch us standard records like A, quad A and MX records. So this is the SOA record, start of authority record for codespindle.com. So this is a standard enumeration which fetches us the text record and also SRV records. So all these things we can do by performing a standard enumeration. The command is Dnsrecon-d codespindle.com -t and std. So I am very much focused on only SRV records, then I can go with this specific command -t SRV. So it will enumerate only the SRV type records for us. So right now it says no SRV records found for codespindle.com, but I hope you're clear with the command and you'll be able to use it. The next type of command that we're going to see is DNS reverse lookup. So for this we are going to provide an IP address range, and then we are going to get the domain names for that IP address range. So here for reverse lookup we are going to use -r. It's not -d because we are going to give the IP address range here. So 162.214.80.115/24. So it's going to fetch us the scan system starting from around 255 systems. It's going to scan. So 255 records found, and you can see it's going to fetch us the domain name corresponding to these IP address ranges. Say for instance we have this specific orangedecors.com from this IP, that is the domain and that is the IP. So it's going to fetch us, it's going to do a reverse lookup nearman.org in this IP. So it's going to perform a reverse lookup starting from 162.214.80.0 to 162.214.80.255. So it's going to scan all the systems and IPs and fetch us the domain names corresponding to those IPs. That is the use of reverse lookup in Dnsrecon, and we can also force the enumeration from a specific name server. So how to use a specific name server here? Say we have two name servers, we can force a DNS enumeration from a specific name server. For that we can use this command Dnsrecon, and the domain is codespindle.com. And here the name server that I'm going to use is ns2, the secondary name server for enumeration, bluehost.in. So there are two name servers which we have identified, ns1.bluehost.in and ns2.bluehost.in. Now we can use this specific command to enumerate from a specific name server. So now this specific name server was used for enumeration, and we have got some results here. The next thing we are going to see is how to perform zone transfer. So zone transfer is trying to transfer the zone file from the name server to our system. So for this I'm going to use Dnsrecon, and the command is -d. The domain, now I'm going to use a different domain, zone transfer.me. That's the domain for which I'm going to attempt zone transfer -t axfr. So this will actually try and perform a zone transfer from the name servers. So it's going to try and see whether we can get the zone files from these name servers. So it has found two name servers for this specific domain. I used a different domain here because when I performed zone transfer with codespindle.com, it failed. So here you see trying a name server, and then it's performing a zone transfer. Zone transfer was successful. So zone transfer is going to fetch us all the DNS records corresponding to a zone file, and we can see the information here. So I have used a different domain here, zonetransfer.me, just to show you a demo on how zone transfers can be performed. So it is going to enumerate from these name servers, and then it's going to give you complete information of all the records in these zone files. So it's going to take some time to perform a successful zone transfers. So zone transfers, the command is dnsrecon-d, the domain name -t axfr. Let's take a look at subdomain enumeration using Dnsrecons. Let me stop this. It's going to take some time because it's going to try zone transfers from both these name servers. Let me stop this. Clear screen. Now let us perform subdomain enumeration using Dnsrecon. For that, the command is Dnsrecon and -d codespindle. The domain we have to specify, codespindle.com, and -t, and I'll say BRT. Now it will brute force using an pre-existing word list to find the various subdomains under Dnsrecon. So it's going to use a predefined word list as part of the tool. The word list is shown here, user share Dnsrecon and namelist.txt. So it's going to use that specific file for performing subdomain enumeration. So it's going to brute force using this specific file. So again, this is going to be a time taking command. So it's going to take some time because this name list is huge. Let me stop this. So let us use our own word list that we have created, that is subdomain dot. So the dictionary that we are going to supply is subdomain dot text. So this is the word list which I have created. I have shown this demo with another tool, so Dnsmap 2. So we are going to use that specific word list with this tool. Let's see whether it performs subdomain enumeration. So what is the word list or the dictionary file it uses is this file that we have supplied. So now it says 0 records found. Maybe we So now it says it's 0 records found. Maybe you try that with the default word list too. So it's going to take some time, but that's how you use a default word list. Say here Dnsrecon-d codespindle.com-t-brt. So it's going to perform brute force subdomain enumeration. And if you want to supply your own word list, the command is -d subdomain.text. So I have run all these commands and these commands are working. You can very well try and attempt these things. So I know it was a long session on all these 4 tools. The tools were host, dig, DNS, enum, DNS map, and we had one more tool, Dnsrecon. It's actually 5 tools. So we spent a good amount of time in understanding all these tools and how they work and how they are helpful with respect to enumerating DNS records from the name servers. So there are a lot of other things that you can explore things on your own, and if you have any questions, you can leave those questions as comments in the section below. I'll be looking at it. And that's it for now. I hope you all enjoyed the session. Have a great day.